one. So watch what you say and don't say anything racist, okay? All right.
I'll try my best.
Hey. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is, well, we're going to be building a weapon. I'm a kind of a history nerd myself, so I'm going to do a quick weapon to kind of give you an idea of the process. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my reference. And before I do that, I'm going to make sure my grid is set up how I want. So I will go up here, right click, home grid. I'm going to go ahead and set that to 1, just for consistency's sake, and close that. And this is one of those things where Blender really annoys me because, or 3D Studio Max annoys me because Blender has a really good way of importing your reference images, but 3D Studio Max used to have it, but they got rid of it, so we're going to have to do it manually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in this front screen, and but first and foremost, let me go ahead and save this file. Save as, this PC, desktop, and we'll call it Simi. There you go. Cool, in case it crashes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the reference image. And so what I did in Photoshop before that, I took my reference image and then I pasted it into a equal size square. So whenever I apply that texture to my square here in 3D Studio Max, it's going to keep the same consistency of proportions, because sometimes if you apply it to a rectangle, you have to put it into the right shape. So I'll just go ahead and start with a plane. But before I do that, I'll turn on my snap, which the shortcut is S. And when it's 2.5, it means it's going to snap right up onto the surface. And then I'm going to go right here to the menu on the side of this plane. I don't really need all these cuts, so I'll reduce that to 0, 0, and Control S, just a good practice. So then I'm going to go ahead and apply the material now to it so I can get started, so I can have as a reference point. I will bring M. And the material I'm using the slate, the compact. You could also use the slate. And I'll go right here to the diffuse. Click on this little box. And then it's going to say bitmap. And then I'm going to go to this PC and I'm going to go find that image for myself. So go 3D. Where was it I put this? So KDK, materials, Wednesday, weapons, and this one right here. So now that's been applied to the material, and as you can see, I put a green shading on it in Photoshop so I can see it a little bit more better when I have it up on screen and such. So if you see this little button right here, assign material to selection, it assigns it to the box. The change in color means that it's been applied, but you can't see it. So to be able to see it, I'll go right here, show shaded material in viewport. Click on that. And then I will go ahead and go and move and put it into function or F3 to see my screen and put it right towards the center. So first turn off snap, put it more or less to the center, to this right, more or less to the center right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull it back some distance so I can see what I'm doing and such. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So how am I going to start? I'm going to start with a basic item, which it's just going to be a box, which I'm going to edit. But then afterwards, I'm going to show you a different mode you can do this that's a little more fun and such. So I'm going to go in front screen like this, create a very basic box right here. The thickness doesn't matter too much, and go from up to the top, realistic to shaded. And you know what, just to be able to see my mesh a little bit more, I'm going to hit M for material editor, select a new one to the right, apply it to my mesh, and then you see right here in under the options you have opacity. I'm going to go ahead and lower that to 62. So that if I want to work in wireframe or in 3D mode, I'm going to be able to see. So in this occasion, I'm going to go ahead and start from the top when I want to model this shape. So I'm going to take my mesh, move it right up here, and then go to my scale, and then non-uniform scale it on the y-axis. And then on the z-axis. And then pressing the little yellow box in the center of this one right there, I'm going to place it and align it right towards the top. Sort of where the hilt meets. And this is one of my favorite things to make is weapons. I used to play this Steam game called Medieval Chivalry something something, and they had a Steam workshop to do medieval weapons to put in their game, and I just went crazy and did a fuckload of them, and just because I'm a history nerd like that. So So, okay, so now that I have my box, I'm going to go right here to the macaroni, modify, right click, editable poly, cool. And then I'm going to have all my options here for how I'm going to model. So I'm going to start with vertex. And I'm going to go ahead and vertex. And when you have select and move, if you select from the outside, you can make a selection and then move it afterwards. That's really fucking useful, but sometimes it can get you in trouble. So sometimes if you don't want to move, you just go purely with select, which is this one right here. But in this case, I'm going to go select and move, so I want to move fast. So I'm going to take all these, align it there, align it there, align it here, and align it there. Good start, and I'm going to go ahead and control save to make sure that it's good. I'm not going to lose all of this. So then I'm going to go into polygon mode, which is the shortcut is 4, and select just that one. So to select, if I go with select and move, I can select like this, and I do overkill, and then if I hit Alt and select again, I just select, then I can just isolate the ones that I want to extrude. So if you see here, right here, extrude, I want to keep it consistent, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the settings one, and then that's going to let me decide how much I want to extrude it. So that much, let's go ahead. That's a good starting point. And before I do that, let me just go ahead and zoom out, zoom extents here. Control R for rotate and see if by some chance I've grabbed any other polys that I don't. Nope, haven't done that. So what I'm going to do is go into the top, view, scale, and then on the y-axis I'm going to uniform scale this to have a more sword-like proportion. A bit thinner. Okay, cool. And I should probably know these shortcuts, but then some of them I don't. So I go to pan view, expand my window, I go one again so I can select these and take these and move it right there and right there, the whole time going along with the mesh. Then I'm going to go back to polygon, which is 4 on the shortcut, and then if I do extrude again, see, that's kind of annoying. It's going to keep going in the same direction. So next time I'm going to go ahead and just extrude it manually, because it sort of also keeps the same trajectory of the last extrusion you made. So after I move it to where I want right here, I go back to vertex mode by 1, align it with there, go back to 4, and this time I'm going to extrude it manually, so I'm going to choose the one on the left, and space to, or sometimes doesn't work, but or you can just click it. Why can't you lock it? That's weird. Huh. Anyway, so I'm just going to go and extrude it, and for some reason it keeps insisting like that, so fuck it, that's how it's going to be. And I'm going to take it down here, line it up, Control S. You know what, fuck this. This is just counterintuitive. So let's go ahead and just do this whole shape and then cut the rest of it in two. So after I do that, I'm going to align this one to here and go to vertice, this one here, and then I'm going to go to 2, which is edge mode, because I want to do a cut. I will make a selection so I get all of these horizontally. Control Shift E gives me a cut. Go back to 1, vertice mode, line up, and 2, edge mode, select all the horizontal ones, Control Shift E, and Control Shift E, and then I'm going to take these, move it to the side, this one, line it up so it has a good edge flow, and right there, and right there, and as always, Control S, because you can't trust 3D Studio Max. So now that I have that, I want to go ahead and do the middle cuts. So if I do make this selection right here, the base one, if you look right here, there's in the edge mode, there's ring, and that's going to select all the ones that go up in a row like that. And experiment, if you do loop, it'll do the other direction. So again, select the bottom one, ring, and then Control Shift E. Press 1 to go back to vertex mode. Bring it a little bit closer in, and let's say this is going to be an extreme low poly model, so let's just keep it to this shape for now. And then since I'm not going to be using these polygons here at the edge, at the top where I started, select the top, deselect the bottom, delete, and now they're gone. Okay, so as you can see already, I have the first makings of a sword. It's nice, Control S. And now I'm going to go ahead and teach you the alternate mode to do this, which I don't know if they have this in Blender. I haven't explored so deeply in some of these options, but let me see if it has it. So I'm going to go ahead and take this to the side. And then if you go to create mode, you have shapes. You can work with splines, which is just, it's not 3D. It's basically the makings of a 3D shape. And I'll show you what I'll be doing. So I'm going to take a line right here and go for starting point, and I'm going to be using a Bezier curve. Curve it around like this and curve it around like that. And then right click to end it. And as you can see, I have a spline that more or less follows the shape of the sword. So now after I do that, I'm going to go to the macaroni up here, which is the modify, and I'm going to turn this into an actual shape. And then we're going to, when you see the shape, you'll see what happens anyway. So I'm going to, you see this right here, these two, enable and renderer and enable and viewport. As you can see now, it's created a tube basically. So you can, like this feature of using splines, it's a good way of doing like chains, hair, like a lot of stuff that's very organic. If you want to try to do something like that, this would be a good way, because then when you go to the vertex, this is not quite a mesh yet. So if you select the vertex points, for example here, and you rotate them, you could actually start to move it into something in a way that you like. And right now, when I go into down here to expand my window and perspective mode, as you can see, it's a tube, and that's not really useful. So then that's why we have all these options here. So it's going to be basically four-sided. As you can see now, it just simplified it into a four-sided shape. Basically a flat makings of a sword. And then you see this angle right here. If you go and then turn that to 45 degrees, now it's shaping in the right orientation of a sword. So now that you're happy with that, I'm going to take this line right here. This is just a spline. It's not actual 3D geometry. I'm going to go and right click and hit editable poly. And now I can start editing on it. And then if I go here, then I just go to one and then start moving these all in the right place. Duke, 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 Duke. And then the good thing about that, doing that, using it a spline and then converting it into an editable mesh, for example, is that you could actually turn on for it to have UV mapping coordinates. So if you're doing something which is a pain in the ass to make, like rope, for example, you can make it and then it'll automatically unwrap it for you, and then you don't have to unwrap it yourself, which is one of the most painful things to do, like something like rope or something thin and stringy like that. So take that. That. And move these into shape. And then I won't do this again 2 times for the rest of the weapon, just to give you an alternate way to do it just for the future. And then take it here. You're still here, right? I don't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was muted.
No,
no, I'm here.
No, okay. Just to know, I hate to find out I've been talking to myself for an hour. That'd be embarrassing. So there you go. As you can see, I got it more or less to the shape of the sword. So that's another way that you can go about when it comes to modeling and such, is using splines to create 3D mesh. So we're going to just pull this to the side and bring this forward. Cool. Okay. So what I'm going to want to do now is I'm going to want to do the scimitar, the hilt of the sword, and I'm going to do that where it's sort of flat. So how am I going to start that? So first I'm going to go expand my window, and I want to do a hilt that kind of, because the purpose of a hilt is to protect you if a sword clangs into you so it doesn't cut off your hand. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom into, so you can see, into perspective mode. And then if I press 3, I'm going to go ahead and click at the bottom where I deleted those edges. And if you press space to lock your selection, and then if I go up here to select and uniform scale, to duplicate anything in 3D Studio Max is holding shift. So if I want to extrude these edges, if I hold shift while I scale, it'll do that, as you can see. And then I'm going to expand it a little bit more now, so it has a little bit more volume to it. And then I'm going to go ahead and save. Go out to my window, and then now that I have my first initial extrusions, shapes for that extrusion, I'm going to go ahead and create these polygons myself so it fits along to the shape. So I'm going to move this. Oh no, let's go ahead and leave that there as my base. And then if you go look in the perspective mode, if I go and click here on one of the edges, pressing 2, I will go to the front view again, and I will lock my selection because I'm going to extrude the hilt of the sword. So I'm going to, locking the selection, hold shift, I'm going to make one extrusion right here and one more extrusion right there towards the end. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the same for the other side. Again, I'm going to go ahead and take the other edge, space to lock my selection, hold shift, and then pull out towards here, and then pull out towards there. And then we're going to do the same for the top ones, and then we're going to connect them together. So what am I going to do to extrude that out? I'm going to go ahead and in 2 or edge mode, select this one, this one, this one, and this one. And maybe the one close to the hilt. Is that going to work? Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Control R if you want to rotate your screen when you have something selected. Control again to grab that one edge, and then I'm going to lock it, go on the top view and holding shift, pull it out like that. And then this is now where our material becomes much more useful, that it's transparent. But if, let's say I wanted a tiny bit more, so I'll go to M for material, find the material, make it 24% right here. Boom, good. And then I'm going to go to 1 and switch to vertex mode. And I'm going to take this, move it there, kind of move the geometry based on the shape of the sword. So this is the part where you probably have to tweak a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. Take this one, bring it. Hopefully, no, let's leave that for now. This one and move this one. So I'm going through sort of a process so you can kind of see a lot of the functions you're going to be needing when it comes to this. So the next one is going to be to teach you how to weld stuff together. So I'm going to get those 4 edges on the side of the sword there. I'm going to go up in this screen, and I want to snap them to this right here. So if I press S, you can see snap is turned on. And 2.5 means it's going to only snap to a 2D view. So if you do it 3D, it can fly all over the place, but I'll keep it like that. Excuse me. Lock my selection by pressing space, and then you can see the little cursor, and then boom, that means it snapped. So again, now I expand into my regular view or my perspective and such, and I want to weld those vertices together. So if you go to 1 and you get your selection, you make sure your bar is not locked, click outside, select 1, these 2, and if you see right there, you can see 2 vertices selected. Let me unclick, do it again, 2 vertices selected. So if I do weld, that's one way to do it. Or another way to do it as well is if you just collapse it. Collapse it, however, means you're welding at higher distances, so you have to be careful with that. And now that you can see it says vertex 78 selected, that means that's been welded. I will press Z to, again, go back to my object. And then I'll go ahead and select the other one. Select those 2 vertices selected, and weld. And I'm going to save. Control S. So now I want to connect those bottom vertices of that hilt so they're a little bit enclosed. So for that, we're going to, again, switch out of material and, again, raise the transparency so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to turn that to 100%. And then I'm going to go to isolation mode so you don't have to see the reference material. But why is it not turning? I wonder why that is. Hide. Boom. There you go. Oh, that's why. And then I'm going to go to these bottom ones, and the way we're going to connect them is I'm going to go into edge mode, and then if you see this, if I connect the first, select the first one, and then select the second one, and if you see right here, bridge fills them in. Select that one, bridge fills it in, this one, bridge, and I'm leaving this open because I want to make a blade out of this at some point and such. So what I'm going to do to make that into the blade handle, if I go to border, which is number 3, it selects that one. As you can see, all of it. I lock my selection, and then again, go to scale up here, and then I hold shift as I scale, and then I'm going to scale it a little bit so it's a little bit more evenly, and then sideways. So as you can see, that's one of those occasions where I'm probably going to have to make a little bit of an adjustment, and the sword is probably not going to be perfect like the one that's on my thing, but whatever, it's just for the concept. So take that, turn off snap so it doesn't affect it, and then, fuck it, maybe this is better if I do it in the screen. And then if you do, function F3 or F3 to see wireframe and to switch out of that, and I'll just go ahead and take these and line these up so they're a little bit nicer. So as you can see, now I have the place where I'm going to have the hilt of my blade. We have these ends right here. That's going to be, oh no, wait, there was a design for it. So there's going to be something there. So we're going to do that when we get there. So I'm going to go ahead and function F3 to go, or F3 as the shortcut is, to see what I'm doing. And then right now I'm going to take this and adjust it so it's a little bit curvy whenever I extrude it. So I'll go into vertex mode, take the 2 top ones like this, scale, non-uniform scale on the, non-uniform scale on the y-axis, take these and thick these up a little bit more on the y-axis, and now we go to border, good, selected, and I am going to start extruding the hilt, or the handle, or the pommel. And holding shift, extrude 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to take each one of these and rotate them so it's the right orientation. So I go to rotate, blue axis, best to do it in vertex mode, rotate, and I think I need a transparency again, so I'm going to go hit M, down to opacity, lower that almost down to nothing. And then now I can just easily go in vertex mode and start adjusting all of these. And this one needs a little readjustment. Yeah. That one here. Good. That's not bad. So now we're going to do these little sections right here, and how can we do those so it's easiest on us? And we're going to do it again, that same extrusion method. So I'm going to go ahead and go into perspective mode, and I am going to go to 2 to go to edges, and then I'm just going to kind of keep it consistently about how many extrusions. So I'm not going to do it too round or too high poly since this is a low poly model. So hold shift to lock my selection, or space to lock my selection, make sure snap's not on. Extrusion number 1, extrusion number 2, 3, and this one right here, we're going to go ahead and snap it to the mesh so it doesn't give us any problems. So this is how we're going to use the 3D snap. If I press S for snap, instead of 2, I'm going to turn it to 3, and that means it's going to snap within a 3D axis. So this last extrusion, when I go like this, boop, extrude it, it's going to snap to the right place. And then after that, you have to make sure that you go to your vertices, unlock your selection, select 2, weld, select the others, weld, and then these 2 are going to be open. So if you press 3, go to border, you cap it, and then Do the same for the other one. And then right here, cap, whoop. And then now we're going to go ahead and do the extrusion for the other one. So get out of that view again. Make sure your snapping is off because that'll screw up your mesh if you snap in 3D. Zoom in and then extrusion 1, 2, 3, and oh no, that's the last one. So that's the one I want to snap. So I'm going to go Z, turn S to snap again. Oh, and hold Shift SI. No, why is it not working? Sorry. Lock my selection. There you go. And then the same thing as before. So let's go ahead and get out of this because this is making me sick having to see this transparent mesh. Go back up here. Boom. And I'm going to go. See, when you see this, when you press on border, and you see how it goes like this, that means that some of the vertices are not welded. So again, go to vertex mode, select this, weld, select this one, weld, which is the connection point. 3 again for border. The problem is gone now, so then you can go here, cap the mesh. And you can go here and cap the mesh. Control S. And then let's go ahead and do the last part of this, and then we'll get onto the shading, and then we'll be done. And then I'll hit stop on this recording. I'll upload it at some point, and then you can just go on your day. So let's see, go to the top. Let's make it a little easier for me this time. So gonna deselect, select up here, and no, that's right. I need to delete that top. So delete, and then no, yeah, I forgot I made this a different way. No, this is a different kind of way. It's not like the other. It's not like the other two pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit border, turn off snap, and hold Shift to expand my selection. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take this and expand that. And then I'm gonna extrude again. Scale that a tiny bit. And then one more extrusion, which I'm gonna go extrude. And if you wanna see how that looks, oh, shit, sorry. So if you wanna see what that end looks to see what I'm doing, as you can see, it's still open. So I'm gonna go, instead of scaling it, you're gonna scroll down and you're gonna find something that says collapse. That'll collapse it to 1 point. And then I'm gonna go to 1, vertex, turn off my snap, and move it to the right place. So as you can see now we have like a fully balls to the wall sword. Looks not bad, but it's a bit on the blunt side looking. So we're gonna take and we're gonna bevel those edges so they have a nice look to it. So if I click on one of these, loop, see, is that the right way to do it? Well, we'll see. Take that one. Let me go ahead and isolate this because we no longer need the background anymore. Let's click on the back one, loop it, see the, and then if you go to chamfer right here, that's gonna give me an edge. So I'm gonna start lowering it. So I'm gonna, just a tiny bit like that. That's cool. Nice, and you'll see what I'm gonna do afterwards. And as you can see, it gave me a blade, but it's not a very nice one. So what I need to do is that I need to undo it, and then I'm just gonna manually move it. So I'm gonna hit chamfer again, lower down the amount so it's a one that I can work with. Cool, accept. And then I'm gonna take all of these meshes and move them myself so it looks nicer. So I'm gonna go to my front view, and then I'm gonna take all of these and give myself a consistent place where I'm gonna move them to. So select this one, this side, let's say right there, right there, right there, right there, a little bit closer, yes, closer. that's good.
But right now you're just moving the vertex by itself, correct?
Yeah, just manually. It's if you're doing it from the
Yeah.
top view, it's not going to be a big issue. You could always, you have to be, of course, always watching out what you do. But in this case, I'm just finding the relevant ones, and let's see. Okay, and yeah, you know what? We will leave it at that. I'm happy. We have the sword has a blade. It's good enough. And I'm going to do the last part, and then I'm going to go ahead and let you go for the day after this. Okay? And
Yeah, sure.
I went and put all the tutorials on the Google Drive document that I put for you guys. I put so all the basic ones in terms of the 3D Studio Max interaction, and I put the image for that, and I could even put this one if you like, so you could examine it afterwards. So, okay, so now that we've given the blade an edge, I'm not going to go ahead and go ahead and what do you call it, optimize it. I'll just do a quick and dirty job. So we're just going to do the smoothing groups now. So in this case, see, that's good. Okay, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so this one has to be slightly a little bit better there and there. Okay, so first things first is the hilt. I'm going to make that one shading, so it's going to be very smooth where you grab it. So I'm going to select all of these, and I'm going to scroll down to here. And as you can see here, that means that it has an auto smooth since it has these three little things. So I do clear all, and I'm going to go ahead and give it one. Cool. And then I want to have this be a second one, or you know what, I want to give it sort of a hard edge. So I'm going to select just these two right here. And if you want to be a stickler and go in 3D view and make sure you got them all, I do. So again, 4 auto smoothing I don't like, clear that, and then I'll hit 2. And then I'll select the tip of these right here. Again, auto smooth, clear those. And then I'll go back to 1 again, because the thing is, as long as the smoothing groups don't touch each other, I'll go like 1 for here, 2 here, 1 again, like back and forth like that. I limit the amount I use so I don't use too many and it doesn't become confusing. So as you can see, now I've given it smoothing to the sword. See how that looks? Not bad. And then I'm going to do quickly the hilt. And for this one, I wanted to have it more of a hard edge. So let's be a stickler and go ahead and fix these vertices that I'm not happy about here. Move that there. Cool, that works. And then I'm going to go ahead and select all of it like this. Alt to deselect the rest of this. As you can see, I have all of it selected. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead, scroll down to smoothing groups, clear those. And I'm going to do a new one for this one. And that kind of screws up the side of my sword. So a little trick is I select all of this, and then I will go to the top menu and then unselect this row. I missed a few. 1 second. Duke. And one more. Good. And then click and then add a new one, and then it fixes that, as you can see. And then I'm going to do the same for this, for the blade as well, to get the edge. So I'm going to select all of this, clear that, give it a smoothing group of 5. And then to give it some sort of variety and such, let's see. Then I will undeselect these, and to unselect is Alt while dragging. So as you can see now, that's a whole different selection. Take this, make it into a different smoothing group. And then to edit the other parts of the blade that I don't want to look like that, I will select by smoothing group and I'll hit 4. Okay. Nope. I think I might have misassigned that. Let's go ahead and take 6. Okay, cool. And then select by smoothing groups. I'll unclick that, hit 5. So as you can see now, I have the blade of the sword, but I don't want these sides to be shaded like that. So I will just manually select the ones that I don't want selected. And that's going to be all these. So Alt, 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 Alt. Let's see, how does that look? Yeah, I'm good with that. Oh shit, you see I accidentally misselected something, so I'll have to fix that. But I'll take this and now switch it to 7. So now there's a distinction. And this one I screwed up here. Take that, that's 1, and I'll go ahead and turn that into 7 to 1. And center to screen, and there you go. It's not perfect, but it's a brand new low poly scimitar. So I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now.
Cool.
Go ahead and end the recording now, Duke. Stop.